Here's the 1992 Ford pickup, and I wish I could be making a video showing that it's working just fine, but the pickup has got more trouble again. This has been the most problematic, troublesome vehicle I've ever owned, and I'm going to go over some of the problems I've had with it and some of the solutions I've had and what I need to do on it next. The problem I had with this is that the clutch started burning. I was driving, I smelled a burning clutch odor, and I was getting very poor power transmission from the engine, and so I took it into a repair shop, and after about $1,000 later they had put a new clutch on it, a new clutch slave cylinder on it, and so I thought, okay, well, that ought to be good for a while. And of course this is a manual transmission Mazda M50D with a straight 6-cylinder 300 engine. And then I was driving it, but I noticed every now and again I'd get just these little blips in the engine response, just like the engine was cutting out intermittently. And so I thought, oh, this is a pain, but I never was able to figure it out. But later on I figured out what the cause was, and it was due to a bad fuel delivery module. The problem kept getting worse and worse until one day gasoline started to come out of this back tank. And the problem with these dual tank Ford pickups is at this time, now some of the earlier ones I think had a selector valve, but at this time it has two fuel pumps in the tanks, and each has a check valve in them, so that when you power up the front tank, fuel still flows back to the tubes to the back one, but the check valve keeps it from pouring into the tank, and it keeps the return line. The return line also then ends up going to the correct tank. But this one, the fuel pump failed, and so after that just scared me half to death. And so it took a long time, but I finally dropped the fuel tank, put a new fuel pump in, and I'm sorry I didn't show you that in a video, but I got the fuel system all working again, put the fuel tank back up and everything, and so I started driving it, and it was going good for several months. And then I noticed the clutch pedal travel started to get kind of weird. It's like you didn't have much clutch action, like the pedal was getting lower and lower. So I took it into a repair shop, and they said, oh, your clutch pedal mechanism is messed up. There's nothing we can do for you. We called the Ford dealer. We can't find a replacement. And so I thought, oh, you gotta be kidding me. I mean, this is a Ford F-150 pickup. It's not like an old Studebaker or an International pickup where you can't find parts for it. This is probably the most common vehicle made in the United States. Now, admittedly, the manual transmission version is more rare, but still, I did not believe that you couldn't get a clutch and brake pedal mechanism for this thing. So I went to the World Wide Web, went to LMC Truck and bought it, and they said, oh, we'll put it in if you can find the part, and so I did, and they did. But then I drive this to town, and all of a sudden the clutch pedal just goes all the way to the floor. I can't drive, I can't put the gear shift in gear, I can't activate the clutch. And so what was going to be a part-day vacation of coming home ended up being a day of waiting for the tow truck to come to take it back to the shop and get them to readjust the clutch pedal linkage because they hadn't tightened it up. So, okay, they tighten it back up. Then after several more weeks, the clutch mechanism starts acting funny again. It acts to where it started out where it just didn't feel right. It felt like it wasn't engaging and disengaging properly, and the trouble kept on going on, and I should have looked into it more, but I thought, oh, well, maybe it'll just sort of correct itself. Well, don't ever think that, because I finally got to where I couldn't shift gears at all, and thankfully it happened when I was just about home. I had to shut the engine off. I was coming home and I had it in third gear, And in order to be able to drive up the driveway, I had to shut the engine off in the driveway, put it into neutral, and then put it in first, because in this case I couldn't activate the clutch again. I couldn't release the clutch. And so then I opened it up and I found that all the clutch fluid was gone. I think, okay, well that explains it. It's a hydraulic clutch. The clutch fluid is going somewhere, and that's why the clutch isn't working. So the thing about this clutch slave cylinder is it's inside the bell housing. So I'm going to have to take the transmission off in order to get in there and find it out. But I'm going to do this myself. I am not taking this back to a shop just to get told, oh, we can't do this, or it'll be another $1,000 or something. I'm doing this myself because I can figure it out, and I've got a transmission jack too. I just bought it. And with the transmission jack, I'm also going to do this international bus. And I know some of you have wondered about the bus, and if you don't know, its problem is that it has rusted freeze plugs in the engine, which is going to require removal of the transmission to get at them. So I got the best transmission jack I could. It's a 2,000 pound rated jack, and it's ultra low profile. I've actually got it in the trailer now. But any suggestions you can give on this would certainly be helpful. I'm thinking I'm going to have to get this up on some jack stands, and then it's nice that it has a fairly high ground clearance. I'm going to have to get it up on jack stands and get the transmission jack under there. I do have the Haynes manual for this, so that ought to help me get into how to disassemble the transmission off of it. So I'm going to do that and put a new clutch slave cylinder on this, and I'm thinking that ought to do it, because I don't want to just refill the clutch reservoir without knowing what's going on with the fluid, because the fluid is going somewhere, and I think where it's going is all over the clutch disc, because the slave cylinder inside the bell housing is leaking. And it's only on the Mazda transmission that has the slave cylinder like that, I found out. The other type, which I think is a new process transmission, has got the slave cylinder outside of the transmission. But why could they not have just used a mechanical linkage on this? I would advise you not to buy one of these pickups, because this thing has been nothing but trouble for me. And I'm going to fix it. Whenever I buy something, I pretty much make a commitment to fix it no matter what, because I really don't want to get rid of it. But I don't know why Ford did not make this a little more robust. I mean, this is supposed to be the simplest, most uncomplicated, most dependable version of their pickup line, the absolute no-frills 6-cylinder manual transmission, and yet it has had so many stupid, weird problems. It's been out of service. Well, I shouldn't say it's been out of service more than it's been in, but it's been close. So I want to get it going again, get the new clutch cylinder on there. And also this door has become so messed up where it has to be open and closed from the outside, and I think I need to replace the hinge pins in here, or the bushings, to get the door back on, but I'm going to do that as well. So I really do enjoy driving my Ford pickup. I don't have anything against its performance, but just that its reliability has not been good. So I tell you to buy a Dodge pickup if you have a choice. And I can't comment about a Chevrolet pickup because I've never owned one, so I don't know. But the dual fuel tank thing is a real pain, and I would just avoid that. The only time I will ever buy another Ford pickup is if it's like a 60s or early 70s carbureted model with a single fuel tank and none of these weird problems. I won't even buy a Ford Econoline van because it has the dual fuel tanks as well. So there's the status of the Ford pickup. I'm going to get that transmission jack under there, start detaching that transmission. I've never done it before, but I'll just figure it out. I'll figure it out somehow. Start by removing the drive shaft, and so we'll show some videos of the progress of the Ford pickup repair.